what an experience. Love I've been getting, it's been unbelievable. Like that trauma I went through, I think that day of when I found out that he wants to take it in one shot, it all paid off, and that was literally the first shot that we took. My entire career, I don't think I've lost out on anything which has had a kissing scene or an intimate scene. There was a phase that my films didn't probably do that well, but I was never sitting at home. I was always working. I've learned from my father something else, is that if you do anything with confidence, you'll get away with it. You don't feel like you're watching Sonakshi on screen. You have completely transformed into that character. I think I can't get enough of that. I love that. I'm on my 35th film and I still stand there. Hi, this is Sonakshi Sinha and you're watching me on ETimes.
Hi, this is Ankita from ETimes, and today I have with me the very gorgeous and talented Sonakshi Sinha, and it is such a pleasure to talk to her right now because the kind of praise that you're getting was Heeramandi Sonakshi, and I have to tell you that while you say that, you know, in its first look, Faridan might be a negative character or a grey character, but what I have to really tell you is the spice, the masti, and at times the innocence also which she got in the layers of her character. And somehow she always made you smile. What was the brief to you? And and it's so wonderful how you subtly portrayed all of these layers behind those negative shades.
I think the brief to me that Sanjay sir gave was that forget who you are. Yeah. सोनाक्षी को घर पे छोड़ के आओ, अब तुम फरीदन हो. There's a certain बेशर्मी in her. There's no inhibitions in her. She thinks no end of herself. She's self-obsessed. She has a slight evil streak, but she's a woman like every other woman who is out to get what she needs to achieve, right? And she's a strong woman. She's not a victim of any circumstances. She is fighting for what she truly believes in, and I found that very, very attractive about her character. That she's out there for revenge and she'll go to any lengths to take it. And the beauty about Sanjay sir is that even these so-called bad and negative emotions like hatred and anger and jealousy and lust are somehow justified. You know, he'll never make a character just be a certain way for the sake of being a certain way. And of course, how the story unfolds, you do realize that Faridan has seen her mother be killed in front of her own eyes. She's been sold off when she was a child. What all she must have gone through, while growing up. And now she's out for blood. Like, she wants her revenge. And when you think of it, it's absolutely justified, right? If we were living in that era, we would have also probably reacted like that. Yeah. So...
but the best part is that she doesn't want your sympathy. The best part is that
she's unapologetic, and she of how she is, how she behaves, how she's like, how she treats her men, how she treats the women. Like, she's unapologetic. This is how I am. This is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, but how did you shed those inhibitions? And are there any particular scenes which were particularly challenging for you?
I think Sanjay sir really creates a world. As we all know, I mean, we see it all on screen, but even for an actor, the minute you reach that set, you're transported. Like, when you get into your hair, makeup, your costume, when you set foot in that Khwabgah or Shahi Mahal, you're transported to another world, another era, another dimension altogether. And then it just kind of gets into you. Like, that's when you become that character. And you're literally like in that for 14 to 16 hours a day, so it really does stay with you while you're on that set. So he really does simplify the process, at least for his actors. And in fact, even when he's explaining about a character, the passion with which he speaks about it, it's literally like seeing a film play out in front of your eyes, so I really enjoyed being on that set.
Were there any scenes which particularly were challenging in terms of shedding your inhibitions?
Tilasmi Bahe, the entire song was very, very challenging.
Have you seen the comments below the song? And how much people are loving you in that song?
Yeah, oh my God, the kind of love I've been getting, it's been unbelievable. Like that trauma I went through, I think that day of when I found out that he wants to take it in one shot, it all paid off. And that was literally the first shot that we took. We did a couple of 3-4 takes after that, but he used the first one that we did. And what an experience. He devised it there and then with Kruti, his choreographer. And he was like, now go and do it. I'm like, oh God, how is this going to happen? But that day was magic. It really was magic.
Yeah, and okay, one of the things which, of course, when I was reading a lot of reviews and on social media as well, while there is a section which has, criticized the film and have their own say for the film not being very accurate and all of those things. So, firstly, how would you address that? And secondly, despite a bit of criticism, which is natural for any piece of artwork, everybody has, synonymously loved you and your performance. So there has been no, differentiating opinions on that front. So what would you like to say about both these things?
But for the first thing, I'd like to say, when did we ever promise them a history lesson? There are inspirations derived from places. Yes, Heeramandi is a place that does exist in Lahore, but we never told you that, we're going into the history of it. Sanjay Leela Bhansali is an artist. He's creating a world for you. These are the same people who love Bridgerton also. But it's again, it's a very fictionalized version of something that was. And I think they should treat it for that. They should take it for the entertainment value. In no way is Sanjay sir trying to be realistic. He's selling you an idea of a dream, of a vision, and that's what he's known for. And I think every filmmaker has his own style, and this is his. So I think they should treat it for what it is.
I have first spoken to you before the release of Lotera, and it's been more than a decade to that. And that time, Sonakshi, you were doing 3-4 films a year, back to back. And then after Force 2, Akira and Kalank, you decided to purposely take it slow, I believe, and do quality over quantity. And since then, people have, it's been a wait before people saw you in Dahad and post that to this. With the kind of appreciation that Heeramandi is getting, do you think that sometimes the challenges and the wait is really worth it? And a good actor will eventually get what they really deserve.
Yeah, that I believe. See, a good actor is timeless. Whether their films work or they don't work, a good actor will always be called a good actor and they'll always get work. For me also, like people, like in the middle there was a phase that my films didn't probably do that well, but I was never sitting at home. I was always working. So I feel a good actor is also always looking for a filmmaker to portray them in a way the world has never seen them before, and which is why I'm so thankful to Sanjay sir, I'm so thankful to Reema Kakti, I'm so thankful to Vikramaditya Motwani, who at that time, while I was doing those commercial films, imagined me in a film like Lotera. Different, right? So for an actor, that's such a pleasure. Murugadoss suddenly made an action film with me, and I mean, I had the most amazing time shooting that film. I felt like the hero of my life and of that film.
It was life-changing in a way.
Yeah, absolutely, it was. And I think from then on, my path also changed. I started picking out the roles that really projected me in a very strong light, portrayed very strong female characters on screen. And that has been my agenda ever since then. And I've been loving the kind of work that I've been getting and doing. And some will work, some will not work. But that's life, you have to keep finding your...
I also talk about the wait being worth it because even in case of Lotera, now that you mention it, it's a film which may not have done well that time, but it remains timeless 10 years down the line. See the appreciation that...
Like people, every interview that I've done today, everyone has mentioned Lotera. Anyone I meet for the first time, the first thing they tell me is, we loved you in Lotera. So it's timeless, this film.
But imagine it's the Pakhi and now it's Faridan.
Yeah, look at the contrast.
I can't believe that the same girl played Pakhi and Faridan both. But like you had once told me, Sonakshi, that Paki was still, while people criticized you that time for doing those massy films, it was those films that required you to lose your inhibitions more than something like a Lutera.
Yeah, Paki was such a beautiful, simple, regular girl. Don't go around saying dialogues ना थप्पड़ से डर नहीं लगता सांप प्यार से लगता है that takes acting. I don't behave like that on a normal everyday basis.
But then one has to say, looking at your curve, like you said that after Akira you started playing strong roles, but even in your first film, if you play a character which says this dialogue, she is a strong woman who says that to a cop who's who's scaring everybody off.
Yeah, but at that time you don't realize, na? I was so young, first of all, and like I was truly fortunate to be offered this role. But then eventually you start realizing that this is the path that I want to follow, and I got really lucky with how Rajjo turned out and how appreciated the role was, and that was my first film, so for me that meant everything, so I'm truly grateful. And then eventually you start you learn along the way that this is how you want to be projected.
Yeah, but how has your process changed now, Sonakshi, from then to now in terms of the amount of time you give to a character? Are you still the switch on, switch off kind of?
Still the switch on, switch off.
How have things changed? What has changed?
Nothing has changed my process. My process is that I don't have a process. I reach the set and I figure it out right there and then. I figure it out by speaking to my directors. I figure it out when I read the script. It just sort of goes on in my mind ki, I watch myself doing it while I'm reading the words. So then it just stays, and yeah, so that's been my process. It's been working for me, so I think I'll stick to it.
I need to know that, and it intrigues me that has there been a process of a lot of self motivation to maintain your individuality, which is sort of unique in a way that I still remember you saying that being different is what worked for your father and being different is what has worked for you. But does it take a lot of gumption and guts to own it up and be different? Have you experienced that? And not get into the herd mentality.
Yeah, you know what I've learned from my father, something else, is that if you do anything with confidence, you'll get away with it. So it's just a matter of that. If you are not convinced, people will not be convinced with what you're doing. So whatever you do, I think you have to have a lot of conviction in what you're doing, and that's how you own it, by just having conviction in it. So there have been a lot of characters I've played that probably felt so unnatural, but if you do it with conviction, that is what will connect you to the audience. Like in Faridan, I don't relate to her at all, but I went in with a certain level of conviction ki, and I embodied her, really, literally it became her, and that's why I think they're loving it so much. So I think anything you do with confidence and conviction.
How have your parents reacted to this?
My dad has not seen it yet because he's very busy campaigning. In fact, poor thing, he's like on rallies and from morning to night in the heat, he's meeting so many people and all, and everybody's messaging him about Heeramandi and how good I am, and he's forwarding me those messages, but poor guy, he's not seen it still. But my mom watched it. In fact, I called her 3-4 days back, and in the morning she was sounding very groggy, and so I asked her, what happened, are you unwell? She said, नहीं, मेरे से बंद ही नहीं हो रहा था, मैं पूरी रात हीरामंडी देख रही थी.
Even I binge watched it, all the episodes.
So she has sat up all night just watching the show because she couldn't put it off, and she was so happy, she was thrilled, she was so proud, and that made me so happy.
But is there any feedback which is the most satisfying so far?
That you don't feel like you're watching Sonakshi on screen. You have completely transformed into that character. I think I can't get enough of that.
I think people who know Sonakshi will be able to say that better.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, on your 15th film, I think you told me that I'm on my 15th film and I've made it on my own terms without having to kiss on screen and without having to strip down?
I'm on my 35th film and I still stand there.
But how? You know, is it challenging or is it a struggle to live by your own terms in an industry where you have to conform to the norms?
No, see, we discussed this very early on in our interview. A good actor will always get work. And in my entire career, I don't think I've lost out on anything which has had a kissing scene or an intimate scene. I've always made it very clear to my director, the filmmaker that I'm working with, that this is something I'm not comfortable doing. Totally up to you. If you still want to go ahead with me, if you think as an actor I would bring something to the table, I will do the film. But please find a way around that. Let's work it out. Or you're very free to go to someone else who is comfortable doing that. So the option is always open. Nobody's left.
But after Heeramandi, do you think that you've changed as an actor and come out of it as a better actor after working with this team?
Definitely, yes.
In what way? Do you think you're more confident to take up any?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was a very grueling set. Sanjay sir is someone who really challenges you, you know, and he really pushes you to be the best version of yourself. And I think that's what he's done here. I'm much more patient, I'm much more resilient. I got to work with an amazing cast of women. I got to learn so much from them. So yeah, I'm definitely a better.
Okay, and while we wrap up this segment and go on to our rapid fire, I have to tell you 3 scenes where I loved you in the film.
Okay, can't wait.
One is the scene where finally you and Malika Jan come together and she gives you the keys. And I loved that your attitude overall, where you tell her, "Ab main to chheen ke lungi." That's one scene where the confrontation, which I loved. Another scene where you're with Ustad ji in front of the mirror in a white kurta.
Oh, yeah, and I put the nut on him.
I love that scene.
That's a very emotional scene.
Very, and very subtle expression yet to yeah. And the third scene is where you say that मुझे उनका गर्व वो करना था. I don't want to reveal the हाँ, उनकी इज्जत नहीं. So those 3 scenes I thought you were very good. Do you want to say anything about any of those scenes or any scene particularly?
I can't, pinpoint one particular scene which I enjoyed more than the other, because in every scene that I was doing, there was so much to do. Even if there were no dialogues, there was so much expression in the eyes that I had to play with. So I can't pick and choose. I think I enjoyed each and every scene equally.
And what's next for you? Because people really want to see you more often now and not.
I've already started shooting for a romantic thriller. Again, a very different sort of film. So that is something on the cards, and then I'll be starting something else after that, which is too soon to speak about. So
anything happening on the production front which you were very obviously passionate about?
Not right now. No, I wasn't actually. I've always said that I'm more of the actor. I think my brothers are more into it, of course, and they are into handling the whole production side of it. But I feel like right now all my energies are into acting. So
absolutely. Thank you so much.